The world has become a white desert. There is only ice and snow all around. No people, no life, just terrible blizzards and silence. In the middle of that white void, a small wooden house suddenly appeared. There was a terrible blizzard all around, but that little light seemed to say someone was alive here. Her hands were shaking from the cold, her fingers were weak. Still, the old woman did not stop. This fire was now her and her dog's only hope of survival. The old woman sat down to make soup with what little she had, not only for herself but also for her faithful dog. This was now her only weapon against hunger and cold. Suddenly the dog growled. The old woman stopped. A strange sound was coming from outside, not the sound of a storm but something else. Her chest became heavy with fear. As soon as the door opened, there was only a snowstorm. No danger, just ice and more ice, but without wood the fire would not survive. So risking her life, the old woman set out. With every step, the snow swallowed her up to the knees. It is so cold that with every breath the air freezes instantly. It feels as if her lungs are burning. But the old woman did not stop, because if she stopped, it would all be over. At last, a pile of wood buried under the snow came into view. A faint smile of relief finally appeared on the old woman's face. The dog seemed to understand as well. They might survive this night. Suddenly something moved in the distance. A strange shadow. The old woman froze and narrowed her eyes to look. But the next moment it vanished. Only the snowstorm and emptiness remained. It is no longer safe to stay outside even for a moment. The old woman quickly went inside and shut the door. She braced it with heavy wood. Whatever was out there would not be able to cross this door. The old woman will slowly walk toward the window, wipe the frost from the glass with her hand and squint as she looks outside. Her breath will fog up the glass and she will wipe it again to look. The fear on her face will become clearly visible. The night grew deeper. The exhausted old woman lay down. Her eyes were beginning to close. Suddenly, heavy footsteps sounded outside. Someone was walking around the house. The old woman's sleep vanished. She is old now and her body has no strength left. But the old woman will not give up. She picked up the knife in her hand. Her hands trembled, but there was fire in her eyes. Whoever comes, she will not let them leave easily. Suddenly, the ice on the window shattered. Glass and frost scattered everywhere. In the broken window appeared a massive tiger. With burning eyes, it stared directly at the old woman. This was the shadow. The tiger was circling the house. But this house would not break easily. Thick wooden walls, a strong door. The old woman was inside. The tiger was outside. Who would win this night? Suddenly, another roar. Tearing through the darkness, a massive lion emerged. Now there were two predators. They surrounded the house from both sides. Both were hungry. Both were ferocious. And inside was a lone old woman. The old woman realized this was a fight for life or death. Not fear, now was the time to fight. She made the fire bigger, then pushed the iron rod into the flames. When the rod turned red, that would be her weapon. The dog stood guard in front of the door. Suddenly, the tiger slammed into it with full force. The wood began to crack. The old woman held the red-hot rod in her hand. Now the fight began. The door collapsed. The tiger rushed into the house. But the dog did not hesitate for a single moment. Without fearing for its life, it leaped onto the tiger. A terrifying fight began inside the small house. The old woman held the red-hot rod in her hand. Now everything would be decided. Now two predators stood in front of her. Yet there was no path to retreat, because when there is courage, one is not afraid to fight alone. At the sight of the fire, both predators were terrified. The lion slipped on the ice and fell beside the door. This was the opportunity. The old woman gathered her last strength. One shout, one strike. She could barely breathe, her body was collapsing. Yet the old woman did not stop. The tiger made one final leap with all its strength, but this old woman was experienced. There was no weapon, but there was wisdom. The old woman made a weapon out of sharp ice. The lion charged again, but the dog held it back. This was the final chance. The old woman gathered all her strength and delivered the decisive blow. The lion fell silent. The tiger tried to rise but could not. The snowstorm slowly began to cover everything. Blood, battle, terror, all were being erased by the white snow. Silence descended. The war was over. In the morning light, the tiger and the lion lay motionless in the snow outside. The falling snow slowly covered them. The old woman stood looking through the window. That terrifying battle of the night was now only a memory. Her hands were trembling, her body exhausted, yet there was a smile on the old woman's face. She put the soup on the fire. She looked outside the window. The storm had stopped. A new silence had settled over the world of snow. After the darkness of the night, dawn had come. She had won.